the evening of May 1st, 2020, a 58-year-old woman named Cynthia Covert arrived at a client's house on Kiowa Island, South Carolina to do her client's nails. The client, a woman named Barbara, set the two women up on Barbara's covered back porch, and Cynthia went to work. Now, right away, Barbara noticed that Cynthia was not acting like herself. She was very talkative and bubbly, whereas normally she was pretty reserved. Cynthia had brought over a bottle of wine to this appointment, but Barbara hadn't seen her drink any of it. However, Barbara suspected that Cynthia may have been intoxicated before she ever showed up. However, Cynthia was also talking a lot about how excited she was to see her boyfriend, who was coming into town to visit her. And so Barbara thought maybe she was just excited about this, and that's why she was so bubbly. Either way, Cynthia went about her work until at some point she stopped and she asked, "Hey, what is that?" And Barbara turns around and she sees what Cynthia's looking at. She's looking at the pond in Barbara's backyard, and Barbara sees something that's very familiar to her. It's a 10-foot long or 3-meter long American alligator just in the water right off the bank. And she says, "Oh yeah, he's been here for the last 20 years. He's pretty cool, but we just leave him alone." Well, Cynthia was fascinated by this alligator, and she couldn't stop looking back at it as she finished up Barbara's nails. When she did finish, Barbara went about tidying up the back porch when she turned around to notice Cynthia walking through her yard down to the water's edge, all the while taking pictures of this alligator on her cell phone. And when she got to within just several feet of this massive alligator, Barbara yelled at Cynthia and said, "Hey, get away from that thing. I saw that alligator grab a deer off the bank like a day or two ago." And then Cynthia yells back at Barbara, "Well, I don't look like a deer." Now, Barbara's husband heard this commotion from inside, and he comes walking out onto the back porch just in time to see Cynthia walk right up to this alligator within feet of it, and then she reaches out to try and pet it. And when she tried to pet it, the alligator lunged forward and grabbed her by the left leg and drug her into the pond. Now, Barbara's husband and a next-door neighbor, they go running down to the water, and the two men were able to gather up a rope somehow quickly. They threw it to Cynthia, who was easily able to grab it because she was just standing in waist-deep water at this point. The alligator was just kind of holding her by the leg. Now, the two men are in a tug-of-war with this alligator over Cynthia's body, but the alligator is winning. And then the alligator begins to thrash, and Cynthia looks up at the two men and calmly just says, "Well, I guess that's the last time I'll ever do that again," as the alligator puts her into a death roll and drags her under the water. They don't see her again for a few minutes. They immediately call the police, who show up quickly, but she's nowhere to be seen until a few minutes later, the alligator surfaces and it's still got Cynthia in its mouth. The alligator goes back down under the water, and it does this repeatedly for the next 15 minutes until finally one of the police officers who's there, when the alligator surfaces, the officer, he takes aim and he shoots the alligator 4 times, killing it. They retrieved Cynthia, but of course she was deceased. She had been underwater for more than 15 minutes at that point.